Hi everyone, I'm Jorrie de Beck and I'm here to deliver a new series of workshops for Centrale Art Gallery in Digbeth, Birmingham. And the new series is throughout the year 2021 and it's called Adventures in the Archives. And what we're going to do is each workshop, we're going to look at a different exhibition that's been happening at Centrale throughout the years. And we're going to learn about how to look at art in different ways. So we're going to use different ways of looking at art. B, we're going to make our own art using one material. And the material is inspired by the exhibition. And C, we're really going to think about how artists and how you can put important ideas and thoughts into an artwork and how you can communicate. So for today, we're going to start with the exhibition Borders. Now, this exhibition took place in 2019, and it was a project between Centrale Art Gallery in Birmingham and Studio 44 in Stockholm in Sweden. Now, first of all, I'm just going to show you a few pictures of what the exhibition looked like. And these are pictures from Centrale's archive. Exhibition was all to do around borders. The name of the exhibition was Borders, and the artist made different types of art. There was 13 types of art, 13 artists who used different types of art and art forms and materials. All of the artworks were around borders, how people can travel to other countries or sometimes not travel to other countries, and how we stay connected with people in other countries. Now, we'll just show you a few and see if you can think about what materials have the artists used, whether it's either paint or sculpture or video. See what kind of forms they've used. Show you some pictures. Different materials. Artists use video material or sound or sculpture. Maybe some drawing and painting. And all in their own way, they've reflected and thought about borders between different countries. Now these pictures are made so it looks like you're walking in and amongst the art. So really for everyone to remember that this happens. Look, some marbles. You can see all the different techniques the artists have used. Think about the same topic. Here a seesaw, but it's split by two screens. There's some more paintings. Now, really to give you a bit of an overview. Little boats. Now, as you can see, there was loads of different forms, art forms. And about the content, so when we're thinking about form and content was all about borders and different countries and forms. Really, there was loads of different forms that they were using. Now, what we're going to do now is I'm going to ask you to grab a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, and we're going to do another type of art observation, and it's called sketching. And on one piece of paper, I'm going to ask you to do a sketch of 3 different art forms, artworks, that we're going to have a look at now. So for the first one, maybe use a bit of a corner because you're going to add 2 more. When we do sketching of artworks, it really helps us think about the shape of the artworks and the materials. And it just helps us to focus and really look at what's going on there. So I'm going to show you the first one. If you haven't got the materials yet, you can press pause now. So once you've got your pen and paper ready, I'll show you the first picture that we're going to look at of the artwork. Now, the content, the topic of this, it's a boat. And maybe this artist has been thinking about different refugees and migrants that have been using boats to cross borders and to cross oceans to a safe place or a place where they can build a new life. So this one is a boat, and the materials they've used, have a look. There's some sticks, wood, and look what the boat's filled with rocks. So those are the form and content things we can think about. And I'm going to ask you to grab your pen and take 2 minutes. You can press pause now to sketch the shape of this artwork. Okay, once you've done that, I'll just show you a quick sketch how I've done it. It doesn't have to be perfect at all, but I've sketched the shape, some of the materials, the stick sticking out. And now I'm going to ask you to write a few words about form and content around your sketch. So what is it about and how did they make it? What materials did they use? So you can press pause and write a few things down. Right, so I wrote down things like boat, branches, sculpture, rocks, and sea. So just as an example. Okay, I'm going to stop this picture. I'm going to go to the next. We're going to do 3 in total. This one's a little bit more difficult. Again, I want you to pause this video in a moment and do a quick sketch of this artwork and really have a look at the shapes and how the strings are coming down the ceiling and if it's really neat or chaotic, and see if you can draw that. Maybe give yourselves 2 minutes. Okay, and once you've done that, I want you to write again a few words around your little sketch about what materials have they used, the form, and what do you see, what's it about. So, for example, I wrote down a few words around my sketch right now. You can pause the video. Okay. Now, that was artwork number 2 from the exhibition. Now we're going to do the third one. And that's going to be maybe the hardest one to sketch, but very interesting. And that's this picture here. Now, just like with the other artwork just now, sometimes artists use metaphors to think about a topic. So a lot of artists like using string and wool, rope, to think about borders. So this artist as well. Now, can you pause the video and make a sketch of this? There's 2 people and there's loads of string and tape, and also have a look to see what the lady puppet has in her left hand. See if you can sketch that and work out what it is. Okay, and pause. Right, have you worked it out that she's got a scissors and trying to cut through the rope? Now, can you write down a few words around your little sketch again about the materials the artist has used and what's the picture about in your idea? What do you think the picture is about? Let's press pause. Okay. Now, those were just some different ways of really looking at art and taking a few minutes to think about an artwork and the shape and how the artist has built it. Today, we're going to make our own piece of artwork. The main material for this workshop is going to be string or wool. Yeah, I've picked 2 different ones, but if you just have one, that's also fine. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is you're going to make 2 pieces of bunting to do with different countries. One country for one bunting and the other for the other. And I'm going to ask you to pick a piece of string and make sure it's twice the length of your own body. So hold it at the top of your head and stand up, and it drops down. And do that all the way back up again, and that's where you cut it. Now, before you do that, have a think about which countries you want to pick. The first one is definitely going to be the country where you're living now. So for me, that's England. So I've picked the blue wool for England. The other country is going to be either where your family is from, or where you are from originally, or it could be a country where you've been on holiday to or want to go to. So I've picked orange because I'm from the Netherlands, and this is the national color of the Netherlands. So once you've picked your 2 countries, maybe you can pick a color to go with it and make nice pieces of long string. Hit pause. Right, once you've got those big pieces of string, I'm gonna ask you to tie them back of a chair. So tie them around, one on one side and one on the other side, so they drop down. Or if you haven't got a chair like this, you can stick them with a piece of sticky tape to the table. So maybe the table where you're working. So stick the tape with the string on the table and move them away from each other a bit and make them drop down all the way down to the floor. So you can hit pause now and do that. Okay, once you've done that, I want you to get some paper or colored cards. And first you're going to start with cutting a little shape from the paper. And the shape is to do with the country. It can either be a flower, a famous flower, an animal, food, or a building to do with the country. I've picked a little poppy for England and a tulip for the Netherlands, because these flowers remind me of both the countries. So can you cut these out, please? Whatever you want for your 2 countries. Once you've cut them out, can you make sure you attach them to the top of your string? So if it's hanging from a chair or a table, you can hang it from the top. So you can either wrap it around it gently and tie it, or you can use a bit of sticky tape and just stick it down so it hangs in your little bunting. So can you hang both of the pieces of paper cutting in your bunting, please? You can hit pause. Once you've done that, I'm going to send you on a little quest around the house. And I'm going to ask you to pick 3 small objects for each of the countries to go into your bunting. So I'm going to show you some examples. England, I've picked a little teacup for all the tea drinking that's happening in England. And for the Netherlands, I've picked some mini French fries, because we have really nice French fries in the Netherlands. For England, I've picked a mini tin of baked beans. And for the Netherlands, I've picked a little deer, because where I'm from, there's some deer running around the forests. Yeah, so you can decide what you want to pick for both of the countries, but make sure the objects are nice and small. You can hit pause. Now, once you've got all your objects, I'm going to show you what I've been building here. So I've started my pieces of string for each country at the top of the chair, or it could be a table. Now what I want you to do is I want you to either wrap or tie or stick the objects in the strings. Now, if there's any objects that you can find in both countries, like for instance, I've got a little royal puppet here, and both in England and in the Netherlands, they have royalty, kings or queens. So if you have something they have in both countries, you can wrap the string from both countries around it. See how you get on. Maybe there's no similarities between the countries, but maybe you can find a few. Or you can even tie a piece of string from one across. If you think actually they both like to drink cups of tea or eat fries, you can also make a little connection like that. But what you're going to do is you're going to put all your objects in the pieces of string. Each country is represented in their own little bunting. So you can hit pause now and crack on with that. Now, what you've made today is you've made an art installation using mainly string and wool as the main material, and then really thinking about the differences and similarities between the two countries. Now, if you want to keep a memory of this artwork that you've made for in your project book, you can ask one of the adults in your house to make a really nice picture of your artwork. And what you can also do is make a sketch, just like we've done for the other artworks from the exhibition. But maybe use a full paper, a big paper, and see if you can draw your art sculpture here. The pieces of string with all the objects in about the different countries and where they might meet or not meet. And see if you can also write a few words to do with your artwork around the sketch of your artwork. Now, thank you so much for joining in with our session today. Like I said, throughout the year, we're going to run a few more of these art workshops. And every art workshop is going to look at a different exhibition that's happened at Centrala in the past few years. So thanks so much for joining in. If you've enjoyed this, also have a look at the workshops we've done around alterations. That was earlier in the year. That was all around climate change and making art. So there's lots of workshops you can do for free on Centrala's channel. All right, this was Jorine. Thanks for joining in, and I'll see you next time.